Okay, hi guys. I'm going to try making a fresh tomato sauce today, pasta sauce. I've tried before and maybe it could have been thicker. Maybe I didn't cook it down long enough. I didn't use tomato paste. So I've just looked up some recipes and I found one from the Food Network, and it seems as though the secret ingredient might be adding a carrot. So I'm going to try that. Now my only question is, should I use this can of diced tomatoes since it's pretty big and I can just use that easily, or I have a bunch of tomatoes. I'm wondering if I should use those. Let me just tell you the ingredients. So you need a 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil, 1 Spanish onion, 4 cloves of garlic cloves, sorry. So I'm using 2 because I'm making half of the recipe because it calls for 2 cans and I only am going to use 1. So this is half of an onion. It's not a Spanish onion. 3 tablespoons of fresh thyme leaves or 1 tablespoon dried, and I have dried here. Then 2 cans of the whole tomato. It says whole tomatoes, crushed by hand and juices reserved. Then salt, spaghetti, and some basil. So I have dried basil. I have also fresh basil. And I feel like I'm leaning toward trying this with my tomatoes. Now the other thing is, these are Italian flavored diced tomatoes because it's got tomatoes, garlic, and onion powders. But I can add that stuff. I'm going to use fresh tomatoes for this, and let's see how it works out. So I'm going to get started. I will maybe crush up my tomatoes in my Blendtec. Okay, so I have, I think, 6 tomatoes. 6 fairly big ones, and then 2, there's Roma, maybe. And I've just cut them in half. I'm going to put them in a bowl. And since the recipe had talked about hand squeezing the canned tomatoes, these aren't going to be as soft, and I'm not boiling them ahead of time or anything, but I'm just going to start squeezing them. And I'll be back. Okay, so it's not so easy to squish these because some were more firm than others, a couple were softer. So I'm going to put them in my Blendtec. You can always put them in your food processor if you're using fresh tomatoes. And now before I put them, give them a spin in the Blendtec, I'm going to add some garlic garlic powder, sorry. Okay, you know what, guys? I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I'll just tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to add some garlic powder to this, and maybe some basil as well, just a little bit of basil, and then I'm going to spin it around, blend it, and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so this is my blended up tomatoes, nice and easy. Just pureed that in my Blendtec. And the next thing I'm going to do is grate the carrot. So it says to finely grate the carrot. Now it's something I could put into the food processor, and depending on how annoying I find this to be, I might. But for now I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way, so I get nice, small, shreds. Not shreds, but like a grated carrot. So I'm going to start that, and I'll be back. Okay, I have my oil warming. I'm just going to put it down to medium. And I have my onions and garlic diced. Into the pot they go. Now it says I probably shouldn't have put it quite as high. It says to cook probably like 8 to 10 minutes, so I'm just lowering it so they don't burn. I suppose I can always add the next ingredients sooner anyway, but that's a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Just a tiny bit shy of it, actually. And I have this seasoning I happen to get at a store here. It's called Pizza Pasta Pates, and each little spot has its own certain flavoring. So this is sun-dried tomato and garlic. This is Italian herbs, lemon pepper, and Mamma Mia. And it tells you what's in it. Sea salt, onion, garlic, red bell pepper, oregano, parsley. So I might add a little bit of this to my tomatoes as well, just to give it a bit more of an Italian flavor. Okay guys, I'll be back. Okay, it's maybe about 8 minutes, or possibly even like 6. But they're starting to get a little brown, they're getting softer. So I'm going to add my other ingredients. So because I halved the recipe. I'm going to, I need a tablespoon. I was going to put half a tablespoon. I can't fit that in there, so I'm going to put, this might be exactly actually what I need. Yeah, I'm just going to put this in here. This is the time I have left. That's probably about what I need. So essentially half a tablespoon. You can always add more. And now I'm adding my carrots, my grated carrots. So here we go. And then it says to, you know, saute for like another 5 minutes. And the seasoning I decided to put into my tomatoes was the Italian herbs. And I'll just tell you what that has here. It's nice and convenient in this little packet. So Italian herbs has sea salt, parsley, thyme, marjoram, rosemary, basil, oregano. Okay, so I will be back in just about 5 minutes. That's what it looks like so far. Okay, it's been 5 minutes and the carrots are definitely softened. So I'm going to now add my tomato mixture. And it says to basically boil for about 30 minutes, stirring often until it becomes the consistency of like a hot cereal. And I think that's what I didn't do the last time. I just didn't cook it down long enough for it to be thick enough. So, there we go. And already I can see how the carrot makes it darker, because when I first did this and you use fresh tomatoes and you blend them up, they become very pink-like. Like that, if you can see. It's like a, you know, light pink color. So it looks like the addition of the carrot helps it already to look darker at the outset. Okay guys, I'm going to turn the heat up and boil, and I will be back later. Okay, not to steer you wrong, it says bring to a boil, which I've done, then lower the heat and simmer for about 30 minutes. So now that it's been boiling, I will lower the heat, simmer, and get back to you guys when it's done. Okay, so I have my pasta cooking, as you can hear, and I turned it up not high, but just slightly higher than a simmer. Maybe I should have the lid off. So it's been about 30 minutes. And it seems as thick to me as it was before, and maybe that's just because I already blended it. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't going to sort of dissipate any further. But I tasted it, and it tasted a little sour. So I added about a half a tablespoon of brown sugar, and that made the difference so far. Let me just taste again. Yeah, it's a little tart, but it's tomatoes. So at this point, you know, you add whatever seasoning you want. Maybe I'll put a little bit more salt. Probably I'd like to put maybe a little bit more of the Italian seasoning. Oh, basil. Oh my goodness, how could I forget that? So I put a little basil before, but I definitely want to put more. And I have fresh basil, but I think I could have put that earlier. So I'm going to add my dried basil. And it's maybe a teaspoon, sorry. Yeah, that's what I think it's lacking. So basically you're going to just taste it now and see if it's got the seasonings that you like. And I'm going to take the pasta and put it into a pan, or I'm going to separate it because I'm putting some beef on my daughter's. So I'm not going to put any on mine. So I'll be back in a moment just for the final everything, guys. Okay guys, so this is the final product. Now I've mixed this up for my daughter, and so I put some ground beef, I put some of the sauce. So just my observations, it's not like thick like a canned tomato pasta sauce. So it's like nice for coating your pasta, and I think if you mix it with something else, like here it's mixed with beef, it's fine. And I'm going to give her Parmesan cheese to put on top. I'm going to put some what do you call that, Beyond Beef crumbles in mine, and I have some meatballs, vegan meatballs I want to try. So if you know what I mean, like when you buy the canned stuff, maybe they put cornstarch to make it thicker. This is not that, but I did taste it, and I think it tastes okay. I hope my daughter likes it. She doesn't really like onions, and there's onions in here, so oops. All right, guys, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Here's an observation. I put the remaining sauce in the fridge, and a few days later I actually made some more pasta to use the sauce, and I found the flavors much better. They seemed to deepen and richen, and it was just, I loved it a lot more. So the flavor is intensified after being in the fridge for a few days. So that's something to keep in mind. You might just want to make some, put it in the fridge, and then use it at a future time, and I think the sauce will be better. Alright guys, thanks for watching.